Man, translation, bridge the gap. Communication so real, no cap. A different language for woman and man. Decode the language and you'll understand. Nah, it'll help you out. Rest assured, women have no doubt. Pillow talk, dinner talk. Give you the info to walk the walk. Now, sometimes it's a foreign language. Now know what's up, don't mistake it. This'll help you every situation. Empower yourself, it's liberating, yeah. Communication, don't need no speculation. Just get that clarification, then reconciliation. Man translation, yeah. Man translation, yeah.
What's going on? Hey, everybody. Welcome to Man Translation. Here we are, yet another Sunday. Can you believe it is July the 10th? Like, where is the time going?
This
Like,
year is definitely just flying past.
it is flying past. Okay. Well, welcome to another Sunday of Man Translation. I am Sky C, and this is Dante V, our communication and relationship strategist. And today we're going to be talking about single women raising boys. Yes, this is a really, well, this is a subject I know a whole lot about. And as you all know, I am Dante's mother. He's my son. So our show is very unique. I have not seen a show with a mother and son. And we are really, really proud of the progress that we are making, the feedback that we are getting from the show. And we don't even really have that many, all of that, big following yet, but we're getting a lot of positive feedback from our audience. So it's about making impact. It's about making impact and reaching the people that you can reach in your sphere of influence until you guys start inviting more people, because we really want to push, we really want to push the needle forward in our culture, in our community. A lot of times we complain about this and complain about that, but when it comes time to be active and to execute, where's everybody at? Where they at? So we're going to be talking about this. It's a subject that's close to my heart because when you get married, nobody ever gets married with the intention of getting a divorce. Oof. So I was raised in the time that you didn't have children out of wedlock. If you didn't have children, if you didn't have a husband, you wasn't going to be having any children. So that's the generation that I was raised in. And so when you got married until death do you part. And so you had no intention on being a single mother. I had no plans on being a single mother, raising two sons. And it's not to say that mothers can't make contributions and can't raise beautiful sons. It's just that it wasn't designed for you to do it alone.
No, it's not.
Because mothers can't be fathers, and fathers can't be mothers.
I think that is the age-old argument that a lot of new age or modern women have. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying it kind of sets them up for failure, but it's like you're adding more onto yourself than what it should be. It's like you don't go to work and try to do everything. You have
yeah. That's how you feel. You feel, hey, I'm by myself. I could be your mother and your father. But as we say in this show over and over again, men think totally different. They have a totally different perspective. And they bring something totally different to the table. Mm-hmm. So talk about, Dante, what does a father really pour into a son that makes him balanced? Because I think that having a mother and a father brings a balance into your life.
It definitely brings a balance, but that father is going to do his best to pour him into his child. Especially if it's a son, because he wants him to be like him when he gets older, or steer him away from the things that he's been through and or experienced as a man. But he's definitely going to pour himself into his son. I mean, I have a son, and it's like I want to see parts of I want to see him, but I want to see parts of myself in him as well. Here's what I taught you, and then you take that and you add your own logic thinking to it, and then you go off and you do something greater than what I was. I definitely want my children to be better than me, and that's all. That's always going to be a thing for a true parent.
Right.
But they're going to pour themselves into that child. The balance is mothers are nurturing, mothers are caring, and that's just in their essence. A father, they might give you tough love. I see something in you, and I'm able to pull that out of you so you can go out and execute.
Yeah.
It's like, you have your son, he's riding a bike, and mom's like, leave the training wheels on. Dad's like, take them off, you're ready. Yeah, he gonna get scraped up. Yeah, it's gonna be okay, but at the end of the day, he got it. Growing up with you, and I know you're gonna laugh at this because you used to keep that vitamin E, vitamin K, cocoa butter in your purse at all times. And you often say, and it threw me because when you're younger, you have this straightforward way of thinking. We'd go outside, me and Divine, we go out there and we out there playing, and we come in there with a scrape, a bruise or something, and you'd be like, why you tearing up my skin? What? Your skin, this is my skin. And you got dad in the background, let them boys do what they gonna do. And then you in there with the vitamin K and alcohol, rubbing and peroxide and bandaging it up, and it's like,
I knew you was gonna say that. I knew you was gonna say that. Because the reason is my skin and my hair is because I've taken care of your skin all your life. I've taken care of your skin all your life, and now you're out here scraping up knees and elbows.
That's that mothering, nurturing side. Whereas we can go out, we gonna fall off the slide and have wood chip fights and everything else. Like that's what we're gonna do. And dad's going to allow that because there's a certain level of competition, trash talk, that things that we're gonna need later on in life. You like, they don't need to do all that right now.
Right. It's and like, your brother has a scar on top of his lip for that very reason. I told him don't push him that hard with that bike. He took the training wheels off and he fell and flipped over and busted the top of his lip, and we had to rush him to the hospital to get stitches. And he's a grown man and still has that scar.
Right, so, I remember that because he just knew he wasn't gonna have a mustache, and he was like, "I ain't never gonna have a mustache when I get older." It's like, here he is, he's older, and he hasn't.
So mothers. It's not to discount mothers, and it's not to say that mothers can't raise sons. But whenever there's not a positive role model of father, in the picture, it fosters a sense of rejection. It opens up the door to rejection. It opens up the door to abandonment, and when people feel rejected, I minister to people and pray with people all the time. Rejection is one of the most terrible things to deal with for people to get over. It is one of those things that people internalize. It grows up with you. It is a thing that can really set your feet on a path of destruction, because you're constantly looking for acceptance in your relationships, acceptance that you did not get from that parent, acceptance, at your job. It affects the rejection affects every area of your life. And a child's greatest fear is to be abandoned, is to be left and to be abandoned.
We can even go back and talk about that one Will Smith episode. Although, it wasn't real, but for some people, that was a real life thing. And him being, I guess he was portraying an older teenager at the time. It was like, how come he don't want me?
Yeah.
And to that, I have to say, it has nothing to do with you, the child.
But a child doesn't know that. A child does not understand that. It's like, you're not here. Why don't you want me? It's personal. because you're my dad. You're my dad. And it's personal. A child doesn't see that, oh, it's not about me.
They don't, but they have, as the other parent, the mother has to make sure of that. Like, listen, it had nothing to do with you. You didn't cause this, or break it down for them in a way that they would understand. I mean, granted, parts of it's going to be internalized because you want to know why, but from him. All right, I got mom's answer, but I want to know why. Why did you leave? How come you didn't do this? And hopefully they would have a better understanding of such from the mom side, because that is a difficult thing for you to answer. No, no, you're right. No one gets into a relationship and or has kids just for them to be, to break up, or them for them not to be together.
But I think the issue that I want to really drive home is I really want men to understand the importance of their presence. The importance of them being there, the importance of them being in the child's life. Not the fact that you can't get along with the mother and y'all don't like each
Ain't got
other.
nothing to do with it.
You all are
I
not in a relationship anymore. The child is suffering. You see so many children suffering because the parents can't get along.
and I often I went through that, and I would just, hey, listen, it ain't about me and you. You're a mom. I'm a dad. I'm gonna do my job. You're gonna do yours. All that fluff in the middle is not even needed. And whatever attitude you may have, just keep it over there. But when we're around these kids, be parents. We don't have to be together.
But
And I think
that takes a level of maturity. It takes a level of maturity. Some guys be so angry, and this is the thing that trips me out. You're the one that went outside the home and cheated. You're the one that went outside the home and wanted to be in the streets. And she
mhm,
decided, okay, fine, you go be in the street then. Push him out the door, close the door. Bye. Right?
mhm.
Okay, cool. You in the street. But you still have a child. Men have the ability to, when they are no longer in that relationship, that child does not even exist anymore, does not even matter.
Because the reason why that is, the number one reason why that is because that child is going to keep that man in that woman's life for the next 18 years, because you're going to call me for something. You're going to have to take me to court. It's going to be something that's going to link you to me practically for life. I mean, I get that we say 18, but you're really going to be there until that child passes. God forbid. But that's it. You're going to have to call me for something: a diaper, a graduation, a shoestring, something. So
But
it
we're
really, unfortunately,
losing we're losing a whole generation of
no.
young boys because men are not understanding the importance of their presence, of being there. That child needs you. They don't just need a child support check. It's not just about the check. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that a child has growing up is their mother and their presence every day. So if mom
Right.
is there every day, dad should be there as much as he
Yeah, it
possibly
should
can
be.
be.
But unfortunately, when it comes down to two major things, again, I've experienced one and not the other. One, again, where are you going? You got my child. Where are you going? So you kind of, some are kind of stuck in the position of, I don't want to leave because I don't want to take him away from his child that he's not seeing anyway. Or two, the mother makes it so difficult to the point where it's like the man's, I don't want to have to go through any of that.
But that's
So unfortunately,
selfish though. That's selfish. That's selfish. I believe that if a man really wants to spend time with his child, he can sit down and have a conversation and say, "Listen, it's like remember the movie? What was that movie with Ice Cube? I think was it First Sunday? It was. It was First Sunday. He was robbing the bank because his
okay.
his girlfriend was going to leave out of town and he didn't want her to take his son. So he was ready to rob the church to get her the money so she could stay, so he could be
Mhm.
in his child's life. And there's a scene in there where he says, all right, you want to break me down, then break me down. But I love my son, and I don't want you to take my son. And I think that if a man, see, men don't like to humble themselves. They don't. They got so much ego and so much pride. I think if he communicates to the woman, like me and you, we over. But I want to be in my child's life. Period.
To that, I have to say yes and no because I've been there. Speaking of my ex, children's mom, she passed. But I had a conversation with her way before because I knew it was going to end at some point in time because we weren't clicking at all. And it was like, hey, listen, I grew up going to court. I don't want to go to court. I love my kids. I want to be here for them. And if it ever came down to it, that me and you can actually sit down as parents, as adults, and work things out. Oh yeah, that's not a problem, so on and so forth. But now here comes the time, like maybe like a year later, and you hurt, you're slightly bitter, and you're upset. So what I just gave you, you're trying to use it against me, not knowing that okay, I'm prepared for such. I'm just hoping that we can take the higher road.
I think that situation where where your ex is concerned. I don't really think she really fits into this conversation because she was an unfit mother. Everybody, just because you are a woman, it does not mean that you can be a mother. Everybody is not a mother. She was not a mother as far as from what I saw and the things that you guys went through over the years. She was not a mother because you don't use your child as a pawn against anybody to get back at them because your relationship did not work out. That's cruel. That is a cruel way to treat your child. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of women are bitter because situations didn't work out, but that has nothing to do with the child. So we're
And
not
that
talking
that needs
about
to be
unfit, we're not talking about unfit mothers. We're talking about mothers who are working hard to raise their sons, and they have really no idea because of the challenges that they're facing. It is very
mhm.
challenging to as your child grows older. You don't really know how to communicate with them. You don't really even understand that what you're saying to them is a totally different language.
Yeah.
Like they're not even understanding a simple thing or why you're saying what you're saying, and you're thinking they understand perfectly fine. And as they get older,
No,
you start to see that no, they don't.
no,
So we're not
because
talking about unfit mothers. We're talking about mothers who really want to do this thing, the best that they can and the right way. Would they go about communicating with an estranged parent to bring them to the table to co-parent a son? We're not talking about just
that's
daughters. 'Cause daughters need the fathers too, but
absolutely yes.
sons, is what carries on the legacy. It's the son. We talk so much about legacy, but we don't really understand what it truly means. The son carries on the legacy.
No, I got you, but how that again? It's difficult to a degree because I honestly believe, and you've actually confirmed this, um, maybe about a month ago. Fathers have a different frequency that is more received. You can tell me to do something, and it's like, all right, dad come out of nowhere and repeat the same thing you said. It's like, all right, let me go ahead on and do these dishes or take this trash out or whatever. And you looking like I said that. The kid's mom, I'd be on the phone with her. She just going just left and right. I put me on speaker. Hey, what's your mom say? Why are you giving her a hard time? And then they go off and they do it. So I honestly do believe that it's a frequency there. Um, Most women have a nurturing voice. So it's like I need to talk to my mom. I can't talk to my dad about this particular thing because in that area he might not understand because it's like all right, so just go and brush it off, walk it off. But my mom like it's she gonna talk. All right, well here's what you got to do, and it's just so
And see,
sweetly put.
that used to just burn me up because listen, I'm the one here working hard. I tell you to do something 15 times. He tell you to do something one time and you do it, and you just be like, I think, and I also think it's a respect thing too. I think that because there's a breakdown in communication between single moms and their sons, I think that after a while they just don't even listen to their mom no more. So I think it's
I
also a
wouldn't,
respect level.
I wouldn't say that. One, unfortunately, mothers get taken for granted because they're there. Where you gonna go? Mom is always going to be there to some degree. Mothers who actually give a damn about their children are going to be there to some degree. Where are you going? Meanwhile, dad ain't been here. He been in and out since God knows when. So yeah, let me listen to him and gain his respect or try to get his approval. Because like you said, most people who are rejected, they're looking for the approval of the person who rejected them or the community that rejected them. So it's like, what do I gotta do to please my dad or this particular person? And they'll go off and do that. Oh, you need me to do this? Well, I'm gonna hurry up and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be the best son, daughter to you that I can. Meanwhile, like you said, mama's over here busting her butt, doing everything she can to make sure you got food, that the house is in order, and you just all right. Well, that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. So no brownie points for you. So it's like mom's expected to do certain things, whereas in some cases, dad will come up and with the bare minimum, and like that's what he gets praised for.
Praise. He gets praise, but we're talking about like the makeup of that son, the self-esteem, of the child. I want to talk about the effects that it has, because down the line this creates a lot of trouble. It creates trouble in
Mhm.
school. You're not understanding why, you keep getting phone calls from school, your child is acting up, and you're saying, hey, everything is fine at home. One of the things I can say that I would have done differently is that when I went through a divorce, I should have took all of us to therapy. We all should have went to therapy. I should have took the whole family to therapy, because I believe in therapy, because I understand that therapy is someone looking into your life from an objective point of view and can see things that
Mhm.
you can't see. They're not being judgmental. They really just giving you a textbook look at the things, and they can see things sooner than you can. Because I swore everything was fine. I really did. I did not
It's
realize that you guys were having as much problems as you did. That it all showed up in adulthood. It all showed up. The
yeah.
rebellion, you should not be. Rebellion normally starts at around 13 when you get in your teens. From like
Mhm.
13, I'll say maybe to maybe 17 or 16. If you're in your 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, still rebelling from something that happened in your childhood, something
Yeah.
is wrong.
Yeah, you got some, or you definitely got some unresolved issues, something
Definitely
you done
got
tucked away.
some
But that's
issues.
but that's generally what happens um with boys. We don't typically see the father be emotional or break down or cry, or it's always like anger and frustration. So it's like, hey, well, I ain't never seen my daddy cry, so I ain't gonna do it. Or you was told the certain things. So a lot of that stuff just gets tucked in. And when you get older, you think, you cool until one of them triggers hit, and it's different. This is where I think both parents come into play, and letting your child know it's okay to cry, but you ain't gonna whine about it.
I just feel like the mother ends up being the disciplinarian. When you're a single mother, one of the challenges that I faced was always being the disciplinarian. And because you're the disciplinarian, you're the bad parent. You're labeled as the bad parent because you set up order, and you set up structure, and you're the one telling them you can't do this, and no, you can't sag your pants, and no, you can't wear a hoodie, and no, you can't wear earrings, and no, you do have a curfew, and no, you can't have girlfriends, and no, you can't do this and that. You're setting up those boundaries and structures because you're building a person. You're trying to build a human being, and so you come across as a mother, as a bad guy. To me, the challenge was how not to be too hard, and then when not to be too soft, because mothers are the teachers and fathers are the instructors. So the mothers are the teachers and the nurturers. The father instructions tell you how to do something. Mothers tell you what to do. Fathers tell you how to do it.
I think the issue with that is I think it's more difficult if you have multiple children. I think it's easier if you had just one child. But because when you have multiple children, they all require a different level of understanding or just getting through to. And as one parent, you have to be damn near multiple people. You talk to me one way, you'll talk to Devon another way, and I another way, Siobhan another way. It's like, this is too much. And then it gets to a point where it's like,
and you know what happens when you try to raise each child according to their own separate individual personality.
Somebody's the favorite.
Somebody's the favorite.
Somebody's the favorite. So now it's like, oh, you treat them differently. Exactly. I mean, Grant, this is always an age-old argument because you as a grandmother versus you as my mom, two different people. And a lot of people say the same thing.
No, we're not.
On the outside,
I got to jump in on this. And we're not. Let me tell you what it is. We are not two different people. We don't treat the grandchildren different. We're not. What it is that because you were a baby, you didn't see how we took care of you because you were a baby. You don't know how we were with you when you were a baby, when you were, 1 month and 2 months, 3 months, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months, and 2 years old and 3 years old. You don't know what kind of person we was because you were too small to remember. You are too small to remember. Grandmothers, we do the same thing with our grandchildren that we did with our own children. We are not softer.
I'm telling you, that is the age-old argument.
Did you remember how I took care of you when you were 1 month?
Listen, I'm not that mentally. No, you're right. I do not.
I took care of you when you were 1 day.
Again, I hear what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Days. When you were 1, do you know how I took care of you when you were 1? You didn't. You don't know. You can't. That is not a thing.
I'm just letting you know that is the age-old argument. I get what you're saying. No, a lot of those things I do not remember.
It's not an argument because you.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about with us. I'm just saying overall in general.
You're thinking, oh wow, now look at how soft and sweet she is with the grandchildren. I was soft and sweet with you. When you was one day old, I was soft and sweet with you. When you was 6 months old, I was coochie and tickling your feet and trying to find your funny spots to make you laugh. I was doing the exact same thing with you.
I understand what you are saying. I get it. I agree with you. No, that's what I'm trying to get out. What you just said is what I'm trying to get out as far as the perspective of what's what. Because again, as adults, most people are going to look back because again, we can't remember.
You can't remember.
Age, or remember certain pieces, but it's like Grandpa wasn't like that with us.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
But that's what I'm trying to say.
That's not even an accurate statement. That's the statement not even accurate.
But that's what I'm trying to get.
You was in the crib, like you can remember when you was in the crib. I can remember back to when I was 4 years old. Clearly. I can remember a couple days, and I can remember some days in my crib, but I can remember from the age of 4 years old clearly. I can remember
Mhm.
4, 5, 6, and all the way up. I can because some people when they become adults, they don't even remember their childhood. Some people don't remember their childhood.
I remember. I mean, so the major things. I remember when I cut my eyebrow off. I remember that.
See, everybody remembers the traumatic things or the accidents or the crazy things that happen.
Yeah, of
I'm talking
course.
about just like you at 4. I can remember me at 4. I know what I looked like when I was 4. I remember the thoughts I was thinking at 4. You know what I'm saying? So that's not the accurate statement that your mother is
But
different and that you treat your
it's
grandchildren different.
still,
She's not
unfortunately, it's
different.
still a statement that resonates with most people today. They don't look at it that way.
She's the
And
same.
that's what I'm trying to get. It's about the perspective of it. Mom is
Right.
there, she's doing all these different things. And
Yeah.
you think like the conversation we had when I was what, 14, 13?
Right.
About, I came to you about trying to get advice on how to talk to a girl, and you think about everything else. It's like, why is she upset? Granted, I don't know what happened in that day, but it's like looking back on it now, it's like I understand where she was coming from. I understand what she was saying. There's a lot of stuff going on at that time that I wasn't necessarily paying attention to. I'm just trying to figure
But
out
that's the
how to
thing.
talk to her.
As a single mother, that was a communication barrier that we did not resolve until you became an adult. And this is what I'm trying to prevent with single mothers raising boys to learn how not only from a boy, we're talking about a boy, a male, we're talking about a young boy, a young male, all up
Mhm.
into adulthood, their communication style. See, Steve Harvey said, think like a man. That's incorrect, Steve. I'm a woman. I cannot think like a man. I can only think like what I am, a woman. Okay? I cannot think like a man. All right, Steve?
Mhm.
Okay? But I can find out how men think, how boys
Yes.
think, how
It's
young
not
men
even
think.
about it's
Yeah.
not about how we think. It's about how are we going to receive the information coming from a woman. That's the
It's
main thing.
it's the processing. It's the processing. It's the like you said, mom can say something, dad can say something.
Mhm.
What dad says gets received and what mom says gets rejected. So somewhere between the two is some processing or some wording. You said frequency. Frequency is level. Parents and children are
Mhm.
never on the same level, but that's also a consideration because there is a generation gap between you and your
Yeah.
children. So
Yes.
that's one thing to consider. There is a generation gap. I think that it also helps for mothers to try to put themselves situationally.
And also, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but you got to remove the emotion out of what you're about to say. I'm not saying, don't be whatever, but women talk with emotion. They talk with care. If you're angry, we can hear that when you talk to a man sometimes, it's just straight nonchalant. All right,
Yeah,
what you want to do?
that's
What you want to
that's
do?
major. And you know what? We talked about that on one of the shows. I think the show was called "Is It Love, Lust, or Infatuation?"
Infatuation.
And I talked about how love is not a feeling. Love is a spirit. And I talked about how when you live in your feelings, that's what being emotional is. Being emotional means that you live out of your feelings. And I don't know what year it was. I don't even remember what I was going through, what was happening when God began to teach me about having control of my emotions. Because your
Mhm.
emotions can get the best of you, and it causes you when you live out of your feelings, everything is about how you feel and this is how I feel. But when you live out of your feelings, I said, and I'm going to repeat everything I said, your feelings are fickle. They're not stable. One minute you could be feeling this way, the next minute you could be feeling
Mhm.
a different way. And so your feelings are not stable. So if you live out of your feelings and you make all of your decisions out of your feelings, you're gonna be making bad decisions because you're not making decisions based out of facts and truth. You're making or logic. You're making it out of how you feel at that moment. You might wake up like today. I woke up feeling terrible. Right now, I feel fine. And so, we as women, are emotional because that's what you grew up watching people do, be emotional. And then you learn that when you're emotional, you come across crazy. You do. You come across the people like you are crazy. And it was really interesting when I got this. One day I was in a plane, and normally as a flight attendant, if the plane is not crowded, we don't have to sit in our jump seats. We can sit in whatever seat we want to sit in. And I remember sitting in the seat. It was a beautiful day. I don't know where we were going, but it was a beautiful day. And we went in the back, got our little snacks and everything, and was on the plane. And I remember just staring out of the window, just feeling grateful. Like I was so full of gratefulness and wonder, because this is amazing that tons and tons of metal can defy the laws of gravity. That's a miracle. I just was all up in that thought. And the other flight attendant, she just was running her mouth, but I didn't really hear her at first until she was talking incessantly. And I turned and just was looking at her, and she just was going like 1,000 miles per hour, like a Woody Woodpecker. And I remember in that moment, I said, "Oh my God, is this how men feel? Oh my God, is this how men feel?" And I remember thinking, if I could just open this door and push her out the plane without killing me and killing everybody else on the plane, I would have pushed that girl out the plane. I was oh my God, all that
Let me jump in for a minute. To a degree, yes, that is how some men feel on some occasions. It really does depend. If we had a rough day and we get in the house and this is you just here with it, that drive home, we're trying to get rid of everything that happened in our day. So when we get to the door, it's like we don't really want to give us a few minutes, give us an hour. Let me just get out of this. But if you keep talking, it's not going to be well received. And it's like, I'm not coming straight home no more because I got to deal with this. So yes.
It was like, I had to repent. I said, "Lord, please forgive me if I have ever made any man feel this way, or my sons." Like you said, women, we speak with emotion. If we're upset, if we're whatever. So I think that will be one good thing for us to remember, that when we're talking to our sons, we have to be calm and not, express so much emotion, because it's crazy now that I'm an adult and I have, grown, and my emotional IQ and my emotional intelligence is really high right now, that, I could look back and say, women be looking crazy. Women be looking straight up insane. And I don't use the words crazy because, that's not politically correct. But when you're in your feelings all the time and you're emotional all the time, you look really unstable, hollering and screaming with no type of self-control. You can't have you can't even have a civil conversation. You have to be a great listener. You have to be a great listener when you're a mother. You have to really be a great listener.
Yes.
And you really, really, really have to create that safe zone for your sons to come and talk to you. Nobody told me this stuff. I had to learn the hard way.
Well, we telling you that. I'm gonna tell you your whole blueprint on how to talk to your child. It's gonna take some time.
We need to do an ebook, how to talk, the blueprint on how to talk to your child. I'm gonna write that down. We get ready to come out with a book.
Okay. Well, we'll take some of these pointers down. You ready?
Yeah.
Number one.
Let's do it. Let's do it at the close. We're gonna do it at the close of the show.
Okay. All right.
No, it's mainly how to talk to your son. Another thing I learned about male children and sons is that they're really more sensitive than you think they are. They are really more sensitive than you think they are. You think that the girls are sensitive. The girls are a little bit more tougher. The boys are a lot more sensitive, and they're gonna remember like what it is that you say when you're angry. My thing as a single parent, the thing that I struggled with was I was frustrated all the time because I had a lot of responsibility. I was by myself and I was doing everything by myself. I ain't had no sugar daddy or nothing. And so I just found myself just being frustrated. So I think if anything, I probably was snapping a lot. Go sit down, go read a book, go in the corner, stand on one foot, something, just go.
Oh, man, the 1 foot was
Shut up, Dante, because y'all didn't even get in trouble that much. Boy, I tell you, perception, let me tell you something. Perception can create division. Because how you remember something and how your child remembers something is two totally different remembering.
To a degree, I agree.
Why didn't start getting in trouble till you were teenagers?
Definitely not, but okay. I know what happened to me as a child. I'm not going to talk about it because whatever. I'm grown now, and we've actually had these conversations. But it's just, I mean, most people are going to remember what happened to them. It's a traumatic experience, depending on what it is. Now, whether or not they added stuff onto it or over exaggerating because they're looking for acceptance is a different story.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So, my thing is that in the African American community, I can't speak on no other community because I'm not from that community, but I see a lot of adult men disrespecting women. Does that disrespect kind of grow up with them in the single mother raising boys dynamic?
Yes and no. Yes, because a lot of times that frustration from the mother is passed on to them, and there's no one else there but that mother. But as a black mom, you're not going to take no disrespect from your child. So it's not going to be till when they get older they can do that to some other woman. And I also say no because sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes the mother is often seen by the children being disrespected. So now it's okay, especially if it's happening to someone that they know, mother, father, the father doing the disrespecting, or just another male figure doing disrespecting, and there's no father figure there to correct such. So you get older and you think, okay, well, this sort of behavior is okay because it happened to my mom. Maybe this is just how men are supposed to be. Maybe this is how men communicate and or act. And because you weren't uncorrected of such actions, here we go. This is not just a lifestyle. So I feel like it's a mix of both.
Because that was my concern growing up. I didn't want to raise misogynistic, adult men who go up into society and hate women. Because I think a lot of the relationships and the marriages that sons and daughters, but we're talking about sons today, that sons find themselves in is a lot of displaced anger because they really are angry at their mother, and they're really taking out all of the issues that are unresolved between them and their mother. They're taking it out on their girlfriends, they're taking it out on their wives, they're taking it out on their daughters, which is why it's so important for us to have these conversations and to talk about this, because I see a lot of angry men, a lot of men that I grew up in the age where a man would not dare hit a woman. Mm-hmm. Not. You see young boys fighting girls. I mean, they be fighting them, for real fighting them.
And here's why. And I've seen this, I've heard this, and I've also slightly experienced it because you have women out there who have possibly been abused in the past, and they will tell their sons to hit is to be hit. If somebody puts your hands on you, don't give a damn who it is. You handle it. Whereas though it wasn't like that before. So girl, put their hands on you. Go get your sister. Come get me. I'm gonna deal with the mother. It's not that generation anymore. So, and not to mention, again, hate to do this. Some of these children see their mother, grandmother, auntie, sister, whoever getting beat up, and no one's doing anything. So this is now the thought process. Let me go ahead on and, well, if they did it and they allowed it, then okay, it's cool. And then it does not help that when these actions happen, said person, mom, auntie, grandma, whoever, goes back to the person who did it. You go back to that person, it's a level of acceptance there. If these children see that, they get older, it's cool.
And that's why the legacy is more than just material things. It's more
Mhm.
than money and cars and Gucci and Louis. It's more than that. This is the legacy. This is what we need to be focused on. What
Right.
kind of children are we placing into society? What kind of men are we putting to marry? These women, because we're growing up at a time where marriage, traditional marriage, is not even really being respected. It's really being done away with. It's being copied, but it's really kind of just really being done away with. And so
Mhm.
we're not really raising, sons that will carry on the legacy. Because the daughter, when the daughter marries into the family, she takes on the name of the family that she marries into.
Mhm.
She loses her name and she gains a new name. The son carries on the legacy.
Retains it, yes.
He
Mhm.
retains the name and he carries on the legacy. And that's why it bothers me so much when I see us on social media flexing about some material stuff that ain't gonna be here 5 more minutes from now, but you are neglecting the true legacy. You know what I'm saying? The true
Mhm.
legacy. You're not tapping into the true destiny. You don't even know what your son's gifts are. You don't even know what your son's talents are. You don't even know what your child's purpose is on the earth. You don't even know
They don't know what their
how to
purpose is, let
even
alone to pass that information on.
to God, even if they don't follow it. When I gave my life to the Lord in '92, and God began to reveal to me what my calling was and my gifts and my talents, I said, well, what are my children's gifts and talents and callings, and what are their purposes? So my children, from the ages of 9 years old all the way up to adults, they knew exactly what their gift was. They knew, I knew what programs to put them in school. I knew what their
Mhm.
hobbies and interests were based on their gifts and their talents. If you
Right.
already feeling rejected, because you don't feel like you fit in, one of the ways to self acceptance is the knowing. We talk about purpose and we talk about gifts and talents and callings, but these are all spiritual things.
Mhm.
And we're raising a generation that, oh, that's the white man's Bible and all of this stuff. They have no idea. They're really gravitating more towards African spirituality, basically. They're
Mhm.
calling, oh, King James, he was white and all of this. Like, they're really taking it, to a point of extreme. And so we're talking about the fact that as a spiritual person, that's the essence and the true you. And that when I say that you live it out of your feelings, out of your emotions, that means you're living out of your soul realm, you're living out of your flesh, and which is temporary again. Your spirit is who you truly are. And so what God had to teach me was he had to teach me how to live out of my spirit and not out of my soul. Because when you're in your
Mhm.
soul, you're gonna always be unstable. You're gonna always be loud. You'll always be arguing and fussing with somebody because you want your flesh wants to be right. It wants to be satisfied. And so you
Mhm.
live a more fulfilling and satisfying life and a more directed life and a more life clicked into, your purpose. My children cannot grow up and say, I didn't know who I was. If
Right.
you went out there and got lost, it's because you wanted to be lost. But you knew
Oh,
exactly who you were. You knew exactly who you were called to be and what it was you were supposed to do. But I think that just like teachers supposed to reinforce what's taught at home, I think fathers also should reinforce what's being
oh,
taught. Yeah.
absolutely. No, absolutely.
So that goes back to, the men. It goes back to the men having a vision. So it doesn't mean that because we're not together, just because you live in a separate household, it does not mean we're not family. You still have a family. Now, you and I might not be family, but these children, we have these children in common and we are family. So it goes back to the same thing, where there's no vision, the people perish. The men have no vision. We need men to have vision. It doesn't matter whether it works out between you and the mom or not. You still have to carry on legacy.
Yes, you
Just
do.
because you drive up in a Bentley or a Rolls, that's not legacy.
That's none of your business. Nope.
Just because you pay child support, that's not legacy. Just because you got a nice house
So,
and a nice whip, that's not legacy. That's not legacy. That's not destiny. That's not purpose. You are ruining. You are ruining your own existence. You're literally sabotaging your own self because you'll be cut off from the earth. Okay, if your last name is Terry, ain't gonna be no more Terrys on the earth no more. Because Terry has not, perpetuated itself to carry on.
yeah, because I ain't gonna lie, I ain't seen another Vandross since Luther.
I'm sure it's some more Vandrosses, but
Who last one you seen?
Terry done bought the Rolls Royce and got and used it as a casket. He didn't say he done buried himself in the Rolls. You at the funeral thinking, yeah, Dad, shoot, we gonna get that roll. Dad left that roll. You roll up at the funeral, Dad is in the rolls.
That in the road, yeah, you ain't gonna get nothing. What you gonna dig it up and drive it out? You can't. Ain't no engine in it, sir.
I'm taking my rolls slam with me. You won't get it. You won't get it. I'm laughing, but it goes back to the same thing. It goes right back to identity. It goes back. That's why every chance I get, I'm talking to young men. And it's really interesting how you can talk to other people's children and they receive from you, listen to you, but your own children.
Because the main thing is you ain't going nowhere. That's my honest opinion. That is the truth. I've experienced it. I've been through it with you. Where you going? And most people, unfortunately, have that mindset. They abuse the people that are there in their life because they feel as though that where you gonna go? You my mama, you my grandmama. You ain't going nowhere. Which is why unfortunately, the generation that we're in now, that I really don't want to be a part of, but the millennials will pick their friends over family because they know family ain't going nowhere. But my friends, they might. So let me do everything I can to impress them, rather than walk in your legacy, walk in your call, walk and do the things that will make you stand out, rather than you blending in with these people that possibly don't even like you.
But we gotta deal with this identity issue because you got grown men who don't know what it is to be a man. I'm a man. What is a man? What do I supposed to do as a man? What do men do? I don't see nobody doing anything that a man is supposed to do. What is a man? That might be our next show. What is a man? We women. Like I know what a woman is. Remember the lady was being vetted, and they asked her what was a woman, and she couldn't even give a definition of what a woman was. That's an identity.
I remember that. Yeah, that is because you so used to it out, but you're not being challenged on it. What does it mean? Yeah, I mean, I think we possibly should make that the
Yeah. What is a man? Like, I can't define for you what a man is. You know, what is a man? And I think that every man at some point asks themselves that as at one point or another. What is a man? What is a man supposed to do? Women, they have an idea what they think a man should be doing. Because when you get into an argument, they be like, "Well, you ain't no man." How you
Yeah,
know?
but that's based off their definition, and
Right.
unfortunately, whoever hurt them, whoever was hurt in their life, as far as the woman is concerned, what they told them what a man should be and or should do.
But as a woman raising a man, raising a young man, you do not want to do damage. You can
No,
you can really do damage to your son and not know it.
that's what's happening with this generation. Because you'll leave, and then when you do show up, you'll possibly plant some seeds of WTF, and then you leave, and now that's blossoming. Because again, if you're my father or you're my mother, whatever you say, it might be questioned, but for the most part, it's not. And we're just gonna let it happen. Especially if it's something that's negative. Oh, don't listen to these women because of this, and this. Now, when he gets older, and as a mom, you can't reach him, as a girlfriend or a wife can't reach him, or more importantly, as a woman teacher, you can't get through to him. Now what? Because
And
my
that's what
dad
I'm
said,
saying. You can fracture him, so now you're both frustrated. You
right.
can't get through to him. You're repeating yourself 100 times. He done blocked you
Uh-huh.
out and not listening to what it is that you're saying. And we're not even going to talk about, when we're talking about the low income, the boys being raised by single women of low income households. They get cussed out like grown men. They get called
Yeah.
every name in the book because
Cause again,
the frustration
yeah.
level, the displacement of anger because the father is not there, because that child wants to know, where is my daddy? Where is my daddy? He
Mm-hmm.
wants to
And
know where
this
his daddy is. And he's gonna want to know where his daddy is all the way up until he becomes an adult. Where is my daddy?
and,
Where
and
were
and some of the disrespect comes where you don't know, or
no?
you're
And
unsure.
right.
But
Part of the disrespect also comes from women get the blame.
yeah,
Mom gets the blame for dad not being there. Mom gets the blame. Dad's not
yeah.
here because mom. Dad's not
And
here
again,
because
that
mom
goes
this.
that
Dad's
goes.
not here because mom that.
Yeah, because here's what happens, and this is a classic scenario. Mom and dad are no longer together. Dad goes his way. He might start another family. He might not. She might catch wind of something he's doing. Now he ain't all types of nothing and this and that. The son hears that, so he hears the negativity that's happening. Granted, it might be frustration. There's some truth in this story. We don't know. So dad comes around or tries to come around. She has attitude because of whatever, and he'll look at his son as like, this is the reason why I can't come around. This is the reason why I can't be a dad. So now he kind of pushed all that on her, and because she's acting in a certain way, the child can't really differentiate between what's what. So it's like,
I think
mom, why
that
are you doing this?
I think that growing up, I think that it would have been probably smart somewhere to have some, like, we need some life skills, some parenting skills.
Yes, because what they teach in the school, some of the stuff is irrelevant because I ain't used a cost tan sin yet. But I think, tax preparation, parenting. I mean, granted, I think there's a huge disadvantage as far as boys and girls are concerned. When girls are young, they give them a family, if you will. They got the baby dolls and the little strollers and kitchen sets and that. I got a damn Ninja Turtle that I don't give two damns about. And of course, when women get older, they haven't had the little family that named them, fed them. They had the little thing, the changing diapers, and the little bottle that would disappear when you do it. And then some of them, they were crying in the middle of the night. Like women, little girls have been trained since birth, since they were able to walk. Here's another baby. Take care of that. And again, I'm outside eating dirt, playing with rocks.
But really, when you really think about it, though, little girls have been trained. They haven't been trained to have a family. They've been trained to have babies.
That's
White
true.
kids were trained to have babies. Barbie had Ken. She had a house, a jacuzzi, a pool, auntie, uncle, grandparents, cousins. Black children had babies. Baby doll. It wasn't no families. It wasn't no baby doll families in the Black community. It was babies. They've been trained to have babies, and that's why this systematic assault against our culture has to be changed, and it starts with the family. It starts with.
Absolutely does.
Because it doesn't matter whether we're together or not, we are still a family. We're still a family unit. Just because you don't live under this roof anymore, we're still a family. And so you're going out, you haven't taken care of this family, and now you're going and taking care of another family. And now, not to mention, we're going to stir in the pot the foster care children, the children that get taken away, because some women can't cope. Some women cannot cope. Let me tell you something. Being a single mother or father, doing it by yourself is probably the hardest, most challenging thing that you will ever do. To be responsible for the life and the nurturing of another human being with no type of training, no type of example, no type of skills, or anything else. You just so happen to like dude, and yeah, you know what I mean? So now, who are you to have one child with this one and not take care of that one and just continue this pattern? That's the generational cycle that needs to be broken. The poverty, let me tell you something. Poverty, being poor, does not have anything to do with the lack of money. Just being poor doesn't mean that you don't have money. Just like you can have money and not be rich. You can have plenty of money and not be rich. Have you ever seen somebody with money that's a fool, ain't got no common sense?
So, majority of people who win the lottery, absolutely.
Being rich and poor has nothing to do with money. Being rich and poor has to do with your level of knowledge and what you're doing with that knowledge, because it is the knowledge that you apply. Applied knowledge is wisdom that you execute to make the money. Y'all keep wanting to focus on the money, you're missing it. When we say you need to invest in yourself, we're saying go learn a skill that you could take to the marketplace in exchange for money. Money within itself has no value. I am a business and finance major. This is my field. It has no value. It only has the value you give it. The value, you add the value. So you have to first add the value to yourself, and then you add the value to you pour into your children. That's what you're doing. You're teaching them. You're not waiting for the school to teach them about African American culture. You're not waiting for them to teach your child about sexuality. By the time if your child has to go to school and has to be subject to somebody trying to teach them about anal sex, they're gonna be like, that is not how it goes. Because kids, when they know something, they'll be like that. My mama said, grandma said that don't go like If you teach them at home, if you wait for the school to teach them, then they're gonna learn all the garbage. Because see, the school has to be politically correct. The school can't lean to this one religion and leave this one out. It can't be like, oh, we're gonna have the Christians, but we're gonna not have the Muslims. They got to have the Christians, the Muslims, the Buddhists, the Hindus, they gotta embrace all of it. They can't say, oh, we just gonna have the heterosexual and not the homosexual. They have to embrace all of it. Because at the end of the day, it's always about how to get the money. So it is your job. It is your job to pass on legacy, to pass on destiny, to pass on purpose. But if you don't know what your calling is, you don't know what your identity is, you don't know people are in business. Those are not even their gifts. They're not even operating in their gifts. They just chasing money. The majority of people online is chasing money. So now what you gonna do when they do away with the dollar? What you gonna chase then?
Crypto.
They're gonna do away with it. You know why? Because it has no value, and they know it. And now it's all the other countries are divesting from it. What you gonna do? You're gonna lose your man. So this is the time that you add value to yourself. Learn a skill, read a book, find out what your talent is. Find out what your calling and your talent and your gifts are three totally different things. Man, what arena are you called to? What arena is your child called to? The most highly successful people in the world knew what their gifts and callings were at a young age. That's why Oprah's a billionaire. That's why you see Beyonce shaking all over the place and won't put no clothes on. Because they know what their gifts and their talents are. And they've been doing it since they were young. That's how you make money. Money starts with raw material. It starts with the raw material. That's what I talk about on my podcast. Raw focus. It starts with raw ingredients. And when you operate from a spiritual point of view, there is no such thing as a recession in heaven. There is no such thing as a recession when you have an unlimited supply. You have an unlimited supply, a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experience that you can take to the marketplace, and somebody will give you the gold bars for what it is that you have. That will promote you to run what it is that they have, because your gift, you don't even know what your gifts are. Okay, she over here selling eyelashes. Well, I'm going to sell eyelashes too. Well, how about you ain't supposed to be selling no eyelashes? That's not what your gift is. You're not even good at selling with your rude self. So we're talking about family raising, and if you need some help, get some help. And I know it's difficult. I know it's difficult because it was difficult for me. I didn't have a support system. And these days you can't trust. We was talking about the Boy Scouts. I watched the documentary. They've been raping the little boys in the Boy Scouts, just like the Catholic priest was been doing for years. So that's why we have to build community among people that we can trust. Well, you can't trust nobody. Yes, you can. If you get out your feelings, get out of your emotions, and get in the spirit, you can see clearly. Because that's when your discernment kicks in. Not your suspicion, your discernment kicks in. Because you're operating out of your spirit where you can see clearly. Close us out, Dante.
Whew. When it comes down to communication, again, communication, most people say it's universal. When you're talking to certain people, you got to talk to them in a way that they understand. You got to talk to them on their level. We're not saying downplay your adultness and come down to a child level, but you might have to have that child's perspective in order to reach them. When it comes to talking to boys, first things first, go on and get your pen ready. You ready?
Go ahead.
Right. First things first, hush. Let them talk. They gonna say some outlandish, weird stuff. Let them talk. By them, you letting them talk, you're creating an environment that they can come and talk to you in. If you need to set rules, set boundaries. You can say whatever you need to say. If you need to curse, just don't get carried away with it. But tell me how you feel. Tell me what you're going through. Tell me what you're experiencing. Also, because it's a conversation, don't feel as though you need to have an answer or come up with some sort of conclusion afterwards. A lot of times with men, we just need to vent. We'll figure it out, but we got to get it off our chest. But we're choosing you as a person to unload and or talk to. With some parents, you might have to ask, "Hey, is it okay if I ask questions, or is it okay if I do this, or is it okay?" This isn't a thing of, oh, I gotta ask my child for permission. No, you're trying to create that relationship because as they're growing and they're learning themselves, you're also growing and learning with them as well. And
That's a
that,
good
that
point.
and as they get
Good point.
older, it's going to change, but your relationship with them is going to change as well. Um,
Mhm.
for me personally, I've had a knock 'em drag out conversation with almost every member in my family except for nine. It's been it's been years and years of buildup of stuff, and it's like, all right, we gonna do this, but that's
I
I'm
call
over
that
it.
a powwow. I call that a powwow. That's a powwow.
But
Sometimes you gotta have a powwow and leave it
but it's
all on the
necessary.
floor. Leave it all
All
on
on
the
the floor.
floor. Leave it all there.
There, and if it comes down to that, whatever's talked about, that's between you and that person. That is
Right.
it. It stays there. I know for some parents, they'll go off and they might tell their girlfriends and stuff like that. If that child hears that, you can count that as possibly one of the last conversations you're going to have. There has to be a level of confidentiality between you and your child that you're not going to go off and talk to them because, again, men hold on to a lot because we might be embarrassed to come and talk to you about stuff. We might to
Say it.
humbling experience. Whereas the women have always had an outlet to talk to somebody, both men and women in general. Men don't have that. So when the moment you create that, you got to keep that. If they have an issue with you, they should be able to come and talk to you about you. And of course, you guys handle it like whatever. Like we were talking about earlier, as far as perspective goes a long way, especially when you have one parent putting another parent against you. It's like, oh, you see what your mom is doing. And in a child's mind, okay, I see what's going on. So you also have to have those hard talks and hard conversations. I'm not sure what number we're on right now, but also with that being said, moms, it is not your duty to be a father. They have a mother. They have if he's not if when you go to work and your coworker ain't doing their job, that don't fall on you. Here's what I'm getting paid for. If you want to do that, then that's on you. But you create confusion later on. And I do hear moms and sons say, my mom she had to do both. Your mom did the best of what she could with what she had. A lot of mothers don't know any better. So as that nurturing side comes out, they're trying to cover all. They want to make sure that their child is well protected and are taken care of. Let me help you out a great deal. Um, just how you're going out there, go and dating or whatever, and you feel confident in this person. I'm not saying leave that man alone with that child, but if he's a positive influence, then yeah, it does need to be that bond there. Now, granted, living in this day and age with pedophilia and men just doing sneaky stuff, you definitely need to be on guard. But if you trust that man enough that he can enter into your home, and he be in your house, he should be able to be a positive influence to your child. I mean, we do live in a day and age where we have package deals. You can't just take me and neglect my children. Yeah, he has a father, but
Yeah,
you're here with his mom right now.
we won't have to stab you in the throat. But let me piggyback off of
What?
I'm real protective when it comes to the kids. I'm real protective. I have a problem with that. But anyway, it is good to try to find a positive, role model and stuff. You really gotta be careful who you letting around your children because
You do.
the most of the people have, been raped. A lot of people have been raped and molested, and we ain't even dealing with that subject matter. They just, you know, we're not even. That's been swept under the rug so much. But I wanted to piggyback off of one thing that you said. I want, I want us women to stop letting fathers off the hook when it comes to creating fatherless homes. I want us to be able to put our differences aside. The relationship that you have with that man and the relationship you have with your child is two totally different relationships. And there
Mm-hmm.
should be a boundary there. There should be a clean cut boundary there. That we're going to deal with our issues privately. But right now, the focus is this child.
Yes, it
Is
is.
this child. Women
Exactly.
are letting men off the hook, and there are too many fatherless homes. Too many fatherless homes. And in my situation, one of the things that I found was that I was engaged, got pregnant, decided not to get married. I went to the doctor one day for my checkup, and we was just talking. The nurse, she came in, we were just talking or whatever. And at the time, me and my fiance, we were cool. We were cool, wasn't having no issues or whatever. But he already knew that I really didn't want to get married. But I hadn't really pressed the issue. I was still hanging out with him. We were talking about it. And she said, "He gonna turn on you." I said, "No, he not. He's not like that." He said, "He's going." She said, "He's gonna turn on you." There are a lot of men that require you to continue to have sex with them, and
Hmm.
they will continue to take care of and support you in the raising of your child. If you don't have sex with them, they don't want to have nothing to do with that child. And I could not for the life of me believe that he was one of those people. But by the time before I gave birth, he denied the child was ever even his.
Um,
He did not, because I didn't want to marry him. So he got really upset, and he was like, "Well, that we need to have fraternity tests because that's not my child. It's not even in my personality to be promiscuous and to be messing around with three and four different men at a time. That's not even who I am. That's not ever who I was my whole entire life." And so for you to just come out the bag just like that, that really let me know that I had made the right decision not to marry him. And so I
mhm.
understand women. I understand that you're dealing with a dude who you won't have sex with, or he won't have anything to do with your child. Because a lot of times you're forced to take these men to court because they don't want to act right otherwise. But I just implore you to try to find a middle ground. Try to find just a middle ground, like Dante said, as far as the communication is concerned, and just to pour your heart and share with them the importance of their presence.
That will always be the main thing, your presence, because it's, yeah, mom gonna be there, but both my mom and my dad there, like the impact that that would have.
Yeah,
Like again, it's not about the relationship. The relationship done, it's over with. You got another job now, mom and dad.
yep, that's it.
Put your differences aside.
That's it. Put your differences aside. And we have gone over 16 minutes, but I think it was worth it. I hope you
Yes.
guys have really enjoyed this show. We're both speaking from experience, as we always do. So if this show
Mhm.
has helped you, like, share, tell your friends about it, and we'll see you guys next Sunday.